sustainability and responsible investment. Most recently, I spent 8 years at Hester Superannuation Fund in their investment team, trying to implement responsible investment. I've got a real passion around bringing sort of ESG and impact central into business sort of development and growth from the outset. So rather than trying necessarily to change companies sort of once their culture's set in stone and they're big and have inertia. So I'm really sort of focused on, sort of more startup and at the moment.
Claudia, that's right in your space, Claudia, to like change culture.
So I work with organizations to manage their culture, and I kind of find what you talked about, the ESG, it's a leader that is, they need to value that aspect of it. And what I've been finding is a real challenge is finding progressive leaders who really value the sustainability, because I'm kind of want to create cultures that allow you to create transformation and sustainable businesses and the sustainable development goals, but actually finding progressive leaders who are into that's been my biggest challenge. Because to be honest, working with the old hierarchy culture and the traditional, that's kind of a,
Guys, before we start, we've got our National Gala Forum tomorrow morning at 8:30. Is everyone registered?
What is that? Sorry.
So once a year, or sometimes even twice a year, all the BBG members, we have 17 forums. We all meet as a members-only forum, and we call it the National Forum. We have like 4 or 5 speakers, and we're sharing what the plan is for BBG going forward is over the course of the year. And I'm going to put it into the chat. Sorry,
is there a screen that you can share as well?
Yeah, hang on. There is. But I'm going to put it into the chat now. And you just type in BBG member to register as in the promo code. But I'll share the screen. Hang on, I'll share my screen. Here it is. And learn for the best, from the best, expand your network, a sneak peek at 2021, have your say. There's going to be a door prize. Our business partner, Jeff Hirsch, is running it. And happy days. When you register, you just register. The sales ended. Oh my God. But if you join, hang on, I'll just give you the link to join. Where would I do it? I'll put in the link, the link to register tomorrow morning. So in the chat, just let me know if you're going to come, and I'm going to just send you the Zoom link now. Okay. If that's okay.
Belinda just sent it a short time ago.
Can you copy it into the chat, please? All right. Thanks, Michael.
So,
okay. So leave it to you.
Claudia, have you been involved at all with the BBG group?
No, I haven't. John Scott, who's part of a directors group that I'm part of, he sent me an email, I think it was yesterday, inviting me. So I just thought it sounds exciting.
So it's in that space. 30 a.m.
Yeah, and the kind of target group that you have suits me as well. That's where I'm heading to, and I think Joe kind of talked about that. It's not the brand new startup, but it's the kind of organization that's on the run and in the growth space, helping them make sure that their culture works all right. That's kind of where I'm focused.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So Joe, you're not familiar with the BBG group either. Yeah. So Ivan, could you give a little bit of an intro overrun so that we?
Sure. So BBG stemmed from a business that we have called, we've got a business called BSI, bsi.com.au. What I might do is share my screen quickly. And bsi.com.au has a range of businesses, from innovation to learning to people to wealth and whatever. Over the years, we've created a lot of businesses. The problem that we had is the businesses were not talking to each other. So I said, how do we actually get them to talk to each other and to collaborate and refer to each other? The best way is to get them into a room and just get them to chat. And we developed a forum called BBG, where we get a group of humans together that are focused on a specific market. So this is the BBG Innovation Forum, and everyone who's passionate about innovation will be a member of this forum. This group gets to know, like, and trust one another and acts as each other's advisory board. It's chaired by Toby, and once a month at least, we'll meet as a team. We're currently meeting every week to build a charter around what we do, which we forming of what the process is going to be. And once a month, we'll have the same as any other BBG forum. We'll have a speaker, and it could be us, that will share our knowledge, followed by a think tank where we will invite our guests. So it could be startups, it could be people with money, it could be anybody who's interested in innovation that we want as our clients. So every month it'll be us 10, 12 people together with 20 or 30 guests. And so at the end of the year, hopefully you'll be in front of maybe 100 or 200 ideal prospects that you'll get to know. And this group you'll get to know, like, and trust. And it's a methodology that we've worked over the last 4 years to build know, like, and trust of like-minded people focused on, in different areas, focused on the same market. And we've now got 17 chapters around Australia, forums in New South Wales. So, for example, the Innovation Forum currently, we have Ivan, Zolt, Toby, Michael. It's not updated, Tony and Sean. We need to update it. In our, it's information in our Sydney Forum. We've got various players, and that's like based on generic business. We have a Next Tech Transformation Forum. These are the ones that I run, and that's focused on mid-sized companies, 5 million plus, focused on like consultants who meld together. And this group, there's about 13 of us, and it's become like this virtual firm. Michael's in that group. Michael, do you want to just share your experience?
Sure. Yeah, so it's a way for people to meet, but kind of a combination of both a professional network and a very friendly support group in terms of like helping each other, thinking about things that, you know, might be bothering us at business and having a bit of a hot seat discussion around it, creating cross-reference in terms of network. And so it's created evolution of its own, I guess, in terms of the group, because it's not just, okay, you know, let's just network and see how you know, how we can benefit from each other, but there's a sense of camaraderie and working together as almost like a virtual stable of professionals that are working together to create that sort of group energy. So that's quite an interesting way to network. I have not done that before in that sort of setup, and I think it allowed us to actually to go to places where we can be vulnerable and also challenge each other in places where you know, where we might have excesses in terms of our style of communication or ideas that we're holding on that are not useful and whatnot. So there's a little bit of coaching help happens on an individual basis. I found that I tend to have person-to-person communication with quite a lot of the people in the group. I met most of them one way or another, gone for walks or coffees, and then there's some collaborations with the right people within the group. So it's been quite an interesting journey in that sense.
Yep. So that's pretty much what we do. So this innovation forum. Hello, John.
Hi guys. Sorry,
Hi, John.
running late. Doing
John.
a little bit of
Yeah,
client work.
it's becoming a habit, lad.
Well, I'm trying to make money on the side as a business, you know.
It's not easy. It's all good.
Hi Claudia.
Oh, it's good. How, John? How are you? Thanks
Hi.
for connecting me.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is we've created this innovation forum that stemmed from a chat between Toby, Michael, and myself. We had an innovation forum a few years ago, but it became like a generic forum. It turned into where it wasn't a focused innovation forum. So what we said is, let's rebuild it and let's build a charter around it and a process and a vision of what we want it to be. And we've gone through torturous discussions in my mind, but I'm not good at that stuff.
You're torturing yourself there, mate.
And I think that we're coming up with a fantastic go forward plan that's, I think, would pretty much be a forum which would be the College of Knowledge of Innovation, where government would come to us for advice, where we would be policymakers, where we could potentially raise capital for companies that we believe are amazing, and where we could invite people with money who are interested in investing to the table, and where we'll connect people with ideas to people who need the ideas. Two areas we were talking about, I don't know whether we're going to continue the discussion that we had, was the one definite area is people who need money. Startups, technology, IP. Let's focus on those and let's connect them to people with money. It would be the funds, it would be the high net worth individuals, it would be the corporates who are prepared to invest. That is a definite niche where we can play. It's not we're not going to be the only players in the marketplace. There's others that are involved, but we've got a set methodology. The other area where I think we should play, which is a discussion, is corporates who are bureaucratic by nature and aren't innovative by nature because they can't fail. Innovation by definition says that you're going to fail. Corporates can't fail. They have to have their quarterly results. So they become bureaucrats and they become run by bureaucrats. And they lose. Those who don't innovate will eventually fail. So how do we bring innovation into the corporate workplace and get them excited, engaged, and enthused, and maybe connect those corporates to say, listen, invest in the startups, invest in those players in your industry, because those are going to be companies that you can take over and will change the culture of your business. So that's my summary.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to say, I just want to introduce John to Joe Saliba. So say good day. And also Claudia and Joe, if you're interested, you can put your LinkedIn profiles on there for people to connect. I think it's always handy, and then we'll get you on refer on as well. And then Ivan can refer you to people, or we can refer each other to we might say, okay, we know such and such. Here's Joe, she's good with such and such, and we just refer each other on. It's part of the process. All right. So,
and if you can put your email and telephone numbers, because I can't actually connect with you unless you give me your number, because I've got like 30,000 names.
So where's Olga this afternoon, Toby?
Oh, look, Olga decided that she's got too much going on for her at the moment. Right. So I think she'll just come along as a guest in the, she's just had a baby and she just wanted to do lots of other things in the process.
Okay.
So she said that she's quite rightly said that if she's not going to participate, she's probably not the place to be at the moment for her. And I think that's all we agree, that we can't do this half-assed. We've all got to commit to that to a higher level. And yeah, I think be consistent, and that's part of the process here. Is
Okay.
we need to be
Shame. She was a very good thinker.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah, indeed.
it doesn't mean she's not going to come back to us. It just means perhaps later on, maybe in January, February, that she will come back.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's not a closed case. It's just she wasn't prepared to commit. Yeah. Okay.
And Nikki was going to join us, but she sent an apology. She can't. Something crept up, so
Yeah,
she's definitely interested to join, but she can't make it today.
Yeah, and we have Kirsty as well.
Hello.
Hello, Kirsty.
Are you in the right group, Kirsty?
Finance Forum?
No, the other one.
Wrong one.
Okay, I'll find the right room.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, all right. So I think what we also left with last week was that we would talk maybe just not so much focus just on startups, but also on businesses that were growing and seeking capital. I think that was a little bit more of the area that we were sort of heading towards, because we kind of said that maybe the startup area was really well covered. Is that something that we agreed to last week?
Say that again, Toby.
That we wouldn't just focus on the startup area. I think you mentioned startup before, but we'd be focusing on mid-level organisations looking to seek capital in the growth spurt. I think that's where we kind of left it. Is that what we agreed to?
I thought it was both.
Well, it was both, yeah. But I think, you just felt.
But it includes mid companies.
Yeah.
It's not just startups.
Yeah.
It's actually talking about companies as well.
Yep. All right, and the other. So what I'll do is I'll share the screen again, and I've made some alterations to the PowerPoint because it's getting refined as we go along. Can you just enable me to share my screen?
Of course. Done.
Okay, let's have a look. All right. Now, of course, I've got to find the damn file. All right. So can everyone see that?
Yep.
All right. So the idea was to stage an event, actually 3 events, and I'll just do a quick rundown for Claudia and Joe. And the idea was to try and get a speaker. Then what we do is get a second speaker who's more industry based. So first could be a successful entrepreneur, and the third month was about the investment. So we just created a forum for investment. And what I did change, if you look at the first block there, we talked a lot about industries, and then we decided that perhaps we should not be so industry focused and rather focus on particular wicked problems that connect various silos together, like government, industry, and corporates and entrepreneurs. So is that something that we're all comfortable with?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So, and the focus was on the quality of the entrepreneurs presenting rather than the particular industries they are from. And some of the wicked problems we discussed last week were things like homelessness, education, the value of universities. What else did we discuss last week, guys? Can anyone give me a quick rundown? The last mile. Did we talk about logistics?
I thought, Ivan, you captured a number of those points.
I did, and I'll find it on. I'll have to get it on my Zoom.
Yeah, and I did put it all under also on. I did send out a meetings note, so I'm not sure, John, if you've received the notes.
Went through that. I thought it was there somewhere, but
yeah. So it was a various range of things, But anyway, and I guess our agenda over the coming weeks, we've put agenda together, and we haven't been able to get through the whole thing. So what we're looking for essentially is a group of core people who are interested to pull this together. All right, so we're trying to make this engaging, but also interesting for members, and a little bit inclusive, or what would you call it, inclusive, but also exclusive. All right, so, and this is where we need team members to participate. Now, we did cover a few points last week, and I think one of the things we were talking about was, do we just carry on with the BBG process? And the process essentially, sorry, it's my phone there. So do we carry on with the process?
There's not even that's not even a negotiation.
I understand that, but that was what we were discovering. So the proposed outcomes were, it's the go-to place to be, all right? Focus on connecting people with ideas, and then further outcomes might be a spin-off on particular industry-based things like FinTech or EdTech forum, perhaps, maybe not. We'll just see. Our aims are very broad and very big. So we want to focus on BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, and also look at things like wicked problems and transformative innovation, as opposed to just getting some next little mousetrap type innovation. So we want to be big, think big. All right, so we want to create a meeting place between genuine investors in growth stage businesses also. All right, so one of the things we said, it was everything has to be pre-vetted and no rubbish presentations. All right, so, all right. And this is the process here. It's a proven process. It's about connection, collaboration, contribution, consistency, and community. All right, and this the actual formula itself. So it's great topics, engaging speakers, innovative companies, and it results in us getting, I guess, to collaborate, communicate, and work together, and also perhaps getting work on the side. There needs to be a focus on that as well. Otherwise, what's the point, really? So the format was, we focus on a wicked problem, a wicked topic. We invite the guest speaker, right? And there's enough of us to have a broad network to be able to get good speakers. In month one, we get the successful entrepreneur. Month two, we get the relevant business developer or service provider to do a presentation. And then month three, we run the investor forum. And then we reassess the whole thing, and if any changes need made, then we do. Otherwise, we just continue with the process for the following 6 months, or the following 3 months and 6 months. All right. So, is there any questions so far? Any thoughts? Any feedback?
Love it.
No. Good.
One thing we did talk about, Toby, was the engaging with government.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not sure that was totally captured in what you've presented there, but for the benefit of Claudia,
Mm-hmm.
you know, our feeling is that governments want innovation in business, but they also need innovation in government. And we felt that if we had some representation from people who had experience within the government sector, it's going to help us kind of be a bit more rounded than just early stage startup entrepreneurs. And I know your background is in that area. That's one of the reasons why I thought I'd get you along, just so you can talk a little bit about what you do as well. But yeah, so Toby, I think it would be useful to make sure that we don't miss the influence of government, and in fact, our connections with government in this process as well.
Yep. Point noted. I'll update the slide so we're on the same. Yeah. But that was something we discussed last week. We all agreed that it needs to be a connection, even with, say, things like universities as well. That's the education sector is an important aspect as well. Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, I've got a foot in that as well. I've worked in a university, but also have colleagues who work at different universities now because they've moved on. So
Yep.
that might be useful for the future. And about the government departments, I'm not sure, like I've worked in a couple of government departments, but I'm not sure if I have the right experience particularly for this forum, but there may be networks that I can tap into if that's what is wanted. So I'm not sure exactly where or what you are looking for with the government departments, and if I have actually got the right experience, because I worked in PMOs or EPMOs rather than with executives or so mainly with contracted program and change managers rather than with actually staff in there. So I'm not exactly sure what you would like, where you would like my expertise in that. So John and I, we've never had a conversation about that. So maybe I gave the wrong impression around my experience with government to him.
Right. And I guess that'll all unravel as we keep unraveling the onion.
Yeah.
And they've also said last week that there are potential certain governments that are more focused, or government agencies that are focused more on innovation. I think what do you say? Aged care was one of them. Was that one of the government departments? I put a whole list together. I just haven't got it with me at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's some governments that are really stale, departments that are stale, and there's others that are really innovative. So we need to focus on those areas. And I think things like homelessness is always a big priority, especially with the Victorian government. They've focused on that. And also areas like sustainability. I think the Victorian government are throwing in buckets of cash, something like $250 million to try and get some sort of circular economy. But, probably Joe knows more about this than I do.
Yeah, look, I think we talked about education, Tabby, but I think, you're going to see the emergence of mini Silicon Valleys, the equivalent of, I can, up on the Gold Coast, I know there's discussions going on with Gold Coast City Council about encouraging, entrepreneurial groups to around Bond University. Same applies up in Brisbane with UQ and University of Technology up there. In Sydney, you've got this Atlassian Centre being developed in around Central Railway Station, UTS, UNSW, Sydney. So I think the universities and the innovation that they're looking to encourage, and it's interesting. They come from several fronts. They do have funding and they can secure funding, but they also have great influence over what are the priorities as well. So I think we need to be recognising the sectors that are going to be quite innovative, and we need to align ourselves to a greater or lesser extent with those precincts, if you like.
Yeah, so the government has actually identified the 5 areas of growth, being ag tech, ed tech, fintech, advanced manufacturing, and mining.
Yeah.
So my view is that opportunities will come, and who's to say what's going to be good and what's going to be bad? I think that's what innovation is all about. And I think we should have an open mind.
Yeah. But in terms of speakers, it might be useful at some stage, Ivan, to get a few of the people from these hubs.
Well, we have. So I've got a database of 110 different speakers, including this one, including our members, who've got experience in talking and who can inspire and engage and enthuse. I mean, Michael Batura is one who can talk about mindsets in the workplace, and I'm sure some of you would also want to speak. But we'll have like the success guys like Paul Bassett or Mike Cannon-Brooks or Justin Lieberman, or we've got access to like Victor Dominello, who's the New South Wales Minister focused on in putting everything into IT. One thing that we've done over the last 4 years is we haven't been short of speakers. Am I right? You guys?
I agree. I think some of the quality of those kind of people depends if we can get their interest, I guess. But yeah, I think that's important. Yeah.
That's what our job is.
Yeah. Somebody's got a doggy. By the way,
That's great.
Claudia, I don't know whether you've given a little presentation on yourself, but Claudia does make presentations and speaks on her pet topics as well.
Great.
Yeah.
So the objective is month one, get a successful entrepreneur. So in the next 12 months, we need to get 4. In respect of business developments and service providers, we've got a list of 30 that would give their left teeth to speak at our forum. And month 3, the investor forum, we'll basically find 3 or 4 companies every 3 months that we'll put it out there. We'll say, listen, there's a company in design and innovative thinking that wanted to align with us. I need to get back to him. That had a whole heap of companies that are going through their process. Also the University of Sydney. All these people who've got potential opportunities, we'll give them an opportunity to present at our forum if they are outstanding. If they present are outstanding. I'm not sure whether their technology will succeed or fail. The objective of the exercise, in my view, is to entertain, is to basically make sure that if they're going to present, they need to be smick, they need to be outstanding, they need to inspire, they need to engage, and they need each area they need to say, wow, this is amazing. And the objective at the investor forum is those 4 or 5 people. It would be us 10 or 12 members, those 4 or 5 startups, and we'll invite 20 to 30 to 40 high net worth individuals, funds, universities, corporates who are interested in investing in any of those companies that will be presenting.
All right. So, yep. All right. So I guess, are there any lessons? We can come back to that later. I think now what we should do is sit down and think about perhaps 3 speakers or 3 topics that we could pitch for the next year or so, or 4, probably the next 9 months. And just for your information, Claudia and Joe, we're looking at starting at around about January the 19th. It'll be Tuesday between 8 and 10:30. That forum.
Third Tuesday of every month.
3rd Tuesday every month, and it will be initially virtual. So hopefully we'll get to a point where we can actually open this up, and it can be once again face-to-face breakfast type of arrangement. And just coming back on your point, Ivan, it needs to be an entertainment value as well. I think that's a really important. Like with any presentation, it needs to be a bit of a show. Otherwise, it ends up being a showstopper.
Yeah, I mean, we hear
terrible presentation.
Our objective is for us to A, get clients, and B, ensure that we are collaborating, learning, and growing together.
So, is there any questions for anyone?
Can we go back to the second slide, the slide before this, that one there? If you stop at that one.
Yeah.
So over the next 12 months, get successful entrepreneurs. So the ones we can get, like the ones that I would like to listen to, would be, let's say we had already, but we can have again, like David Shane, who sold his business for $600 million. What made him successful? Paul Bassett, who started Seek, is now worth $1.4 billion. Martin Hosking, who is the latest darling, they started in our office. Redbubble is now worth $1.4 billion. In fact, if I just share my screen, there were about 4 or 5 unicorns. That's how do I share my screen? Yeah, okay, share screen.
It's a little green button.
I've got a. If you Google BSI VC, I've created a blog called Venture Capital in Australia. This can be ours. This blog will be owned by this group. And I've been, this has been going since 2006. And every year I've been writing 60 to 100 articles on innovation and who's been raising money and who's not been raising money. So the latest one on November the 25th was, okay, well, these are the unicorns. This guy, Andrew Sparks, invests in startups, and he's just created a secondary fund. His claim to fame is he invested in Lee Jasper's Aconex, Melanie Perkins' Canva, Tim Clay's Zoox, which is now with 1.4, and Martin Hosking's Redbubble. So we invested in both Martin Hosking and Andrew Jasper, which is quite nice. And we took them to America, and they've been clients of ours, and I think we can get them to speak. But if you go through this thing, the next one, insights into getting VC investments. So every few days or few weeks or whatever, when I find something that relates to venture capital and startups or whatever, I will write about them, and then I send information to the relevant places. So this one was 8 things what can get. Someone sent this to me. I then republished it. Saying,
can you send a link, Ivan, for that?
Yes, sure. It's if you just Google BSI VC, here's the blog, and I will then put every member into this blog, into the site. So this is ours because it's mine, and what's mine is yours. Hang on, I'm just trying to get back into this thing here. Hang on, chat. So it's the blog done. There you go. So that's the BSI VC. And over the years, we've had the investor forums. So I was going back. So in 2006, we took 4 companies every 3 months to, 4 companies every few months to, we had an investor forum every 4 months. And we had capital pitches. And it would go all over the slide. So DigiSlide listed. BSI does startups. So all I'm doing is redoing this. Bcode was a company that I thought would be a unicorn that failed because the founder committed suicide. Like shit happens. Taking your business to China. This was in 2006. Everything that relates. Here we go. USA Gateway. Here's Martin in 2006. Martin Hosking shared his story in 2006. And we got Ivor Frischneck from Starfish Ventures, that's now a $300 million fund. So over the years, and you can go into each year and you can actually see what's been done. And those people who really did well in 2007 even, you'll see the companies who we invested in. Subsequently, a lot of them have done unbelievably well because they went through that process of getting ready for innovation and getting ready for showcasing their story to our community. And what we did is once a year we took 8 of the best companies to Silicon Valley. So and to Silicon Valley, there's a thing called Always On, where they talk about the top 100 companies. I don't know if it still exists, but we then had a USA investor forum, and these are the 7 companies we took to to those companies. So there's anyway. So I ramble. Sorry, Toby.
No, you're right. All right. So
all good, Ivan. It's interesting work you've done there.
Yeah. So any questions so far or anything? Claudia, Joe?
So Toby, the reason why I stopped doing that, so I was doing that from 2002 to 2007. And in 2007, I came back from Silicon Valley with a DVT in my leg and nearly died. Right. And I said,
I thought it was because you made a shitload of money.
That too. But after 6 months, my wife said, you've got to get out the house.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
She said, I married you for breakfast, not for dinner, not for breakfast and lunch, out the door.
And not for divorce.
And so, yeah, then I went, and then I bought real businesses, and I went back to work. And now through BBG, innovation always sort of everything just drives me back to innovation. And this is what excites me. This is what makes me get up in the morning. And this is our group where we can make a difference.
All right, great.
Could I ask a question?
Sure can.
Ivan mentioned that like a few things about what BBG is about. So professional network support group. It's also a collaboration between professionals. How, with that slide you've got up at the moment, how do you see that collaboration come about? This is kind of events and speaker events. So what do you see coming out of it, or how do you see that eventuate and work?
Great question. If I can answer that, Toby?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Is we need to have if we're going to innovate and collaborate and grow together, we need to have a focus of what to actually talk about besides our own businesses. And the focus needs to be about something that can help our business grow. So if we're talking about innovation, the things that we want as a group is to grow our business through collaboration and working together, and having a focus of which to work together. So the focus of which to work together, the best thing that we found for us to work together around is an event that we can all collaborate with and work together on. As opposed to being introspective and saying, this is what I do and like help me with my business, let's focus on something that's inane, that's not related to you, or that's not personal, that we can all focus on a direction. And by focusing on a direction, by default, we then talk about our own businesses. So the format in that forum is as follows. We'll have a think tank. So in the generic forum once a month, we'll have a speaker who speaks for 45 minutes. We'll then have a think tank where 5 or 6 people will get together and share their ideas on what they got out of that forum. What did they learn from that knowledge share? How can they add value to the speaker, and how can the speaker, what they learned, add value to their business? And they'll share 3 or 4 insights with each other, and that will then be socialized in a think tank. We then come back out of the think tank, and the member will then share the 4 or 5 insights that comes out of the knowledge share.
Right.
So not only are you collaborating with, and then what happens is the following week, the members only will then unpack what the takeouts were as a forum to say, okay, well, what opportunities came out of that event last week? Oh, I met this guy and I met that guy and I met this guy. Let's refer, let's talk to them. Maybe should we invest in that together? What are the opportunities that we can have? How does this affect my business? And we have something called the KLT hot seat, a know, like, and trust hot seat, where Arno might say, well, here, I've got this problem in my business. Can you help me? And because we're meeting each other on a regular basis, you're building trust. And it might be that I aggravate the hell out of John Scott, but there's a healthy respect that John Scott will say, Ivan, you talk too much, and he can feel safe by saying that to me. Because I'm going to meet with him the following week anyway, even though we had a stoush. I'm not going to go away, and we'll resolve that issue. And
probably best, Ivan, to think of it, Claudia, as really we're a bit of a board of directors or board of innovators and we're all coming at it from a slightly different perspective, from our own experiences and knowledge, and depending on the topic or the problem. I think one of the things, Ivan, that I do hope that we do migrate to is this idea of what is the problem that we're actually needing to get answers to, and I would like to see some progression down that path in 2021, so that, it isn't just about somebody having made $1 billion. It's okay. What was the problem they solved? What are the add-ons that could be innovated to extend that? I just hope that we can kind of get beyond just talking about people rather than talking about the challenges, and then look at the kind of organizations that might be looking for capital that we can maybe assist.
Yeah.
So there is a slight difference in terms of where you were and where I hope that this forum kind of finishes. As long as there is that kind of progression, I think that's good.
Cool. The objective of the exercise is, through the speakers and through the investors that we meet and through the innovators that come to the table, we're going to learn from them. We're going to, we as a board, the difference between this virtual board and another board of directors is a board of directors focus on a company to help that company grow. This board of directors is here to help each of us grow.
Or the people we bring in.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, certainly in the case of the choice startups that we said we'll bring into, to pitch for investors,
And
I think we're also here to sort of help pick up the game for them.
And also the BDM, in the second, go back to that other slide in the second month. That one there. Get relevant business developer service provider. So we might say, okay, well, to run a business, you need social media. And we'll get someone who's an outstanding social media person to come and talk. And we will invite to our forum the innovators, the startups, the people with money who may have invested in companies that need that, and ourselves. And for that speaker, who's that service provider, we will be showcasing them to thousands and thousands of people. So I'll share another screen. I'll share the screen again with you.
Sorry, could I ask another question?
Sure, of course.
So the University of Wollongong, for example, has got a startup incubator, and they aim to bring in people from, with pitches and then support them going through to venture capital and things like that. So I've had a teeny weeny bit of exposure to them, and they sort of do it through networking as well. Like what I'm kind of hearing here, slightly different format. But I'm just kind of wondering, how does this forum, how would that totally differ from a startup incubator like the University of Wollongong or another university for that
Great
matter?
question, and if I may answer that, this isn't about the incubators. This is actually about us. And the core reason for this group being involved is to help us, being the members, collaborate, learn, and grow. The incubators, the people that come and present, and the high net worth individuals, and the funds, and all our guests, in my mind, that is our food. And we will engage, excite, and enthuse them. Why? Because when they come and we help them achieve what they want to achieve, they will see us as a group of humans that can do great stuff. And from that, we will then get work. And as a result of that, this group of 8, 10, 12, 14 people will start collaborating and getting to know, like, and trust one another, where John Scott is on the board of a health company in Sydney. He'll say, Joe, I need your help to do culture of blah, 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 blah. Can you help? And he knows what you're doing because he spent the last year having 20 or 30 meetings that you're getting to know, like, and trust. And the fourth thing of the 4 C's is cadence and continuity. So, Joe, if I see you now and I see you again in 6 months' time, the chances of us doing something together is remote. But if we spend every week working out what our charter is, and then we meet twice a month, every month, following that charter, no matter what that charter is, and no matter who the guests are, you're going to know who I am. And there's a choice. You might like me, and you'll one thing I promise you is you'll know what I do. If you don't, you've got the choice of whether you're going to refer me to someone or not. But we have, as a group, have an opportunity for us to get to know, like, and trust one another, that we will collaborate, we will connect, we will contribute. But maybe you won't like me. And that is absolutely fine. I'm not going to force, or no one is going to force anybody to refer anybody to anybody. But we are going to hopefully get you into a culture of contribution and referring people to people that you know, like, and trust, whether they're part of this forum or not, if that makes sense.
So, Joe, I don't know you. So tell us a little bit about you. And Claudia, have you spoken?
You were late, John.
Okay, sorry.
But share with us, Joe.
Yeah, John, I was sharing earlier, I have spent my career in corporate sustainability and more recently in responsible investment, ESG, and impact investing. So most recently was with a superannuation fund as head of their responsible investment team. And now I'm working sort of more freelance advisory, helping investors develop responsible investment, impact investment sort of products and businesses.
Right. Very topical. Very topical. Yeah.
It's if Claudia, if you can share with us again what you do.
Yeah, so I've come from a project management space into change management, and I've grown into more the strategic side of change, which is really transformation. And I specialize in culture transformations these days, but I look at them as a package. Culture is one of 4 aspects necessary to make transformation happen.
And Michael Batura, if you can share with what you do, because I think there's a fit and I've already referred you.
Sure, thank you. So my background is in both therapy and management. Over the last few years, I've been moving towards coaching, training, and facilitating. I'm an associate of the Asian Leadership Institute, which does mindfulness-based coaching basically in the corporate space. But here in Australia, I'm focusing more on working with individual and teams, either in communication, setting up communication and bettering the relationship in terms of the interrelational or the interpersonal space, and specifically for individuals who feel they're successful in the measurements that society has told them to be successful about, but they still lack happiness or purpose. So they feel like life is successful but empty. And I look to work with those individuals.
And what about you, Wayne? You're on mute. You're still on mute.
He's on mute.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I have a background fairly broad, I guess. So I worked for the federal government in innovation policy. So worked in that space, and my role with another girl there was to look at Australia and look how we performed in government, both federal, state and local, also in business, academia and non-profit. And then report on how we could make those changes culturally. Also worked for defence. Got brought into a project there that was a $5.5 billion reform project. And have worked with Jerry Ellis on reform of BHP that still works. And then also Gary Pemberton, you know, solving problems that they were having trouble solving in Brambles Industries after 2 years. So I have background also in communications, and also presented new process of innovation and rapid decision making for defence at one of their seminars, and that was implemented under their intelligence and pre-preparedness branch of how to actually make decisions quickly.
And Wayne, do you think this, in what we're doing, are we on the right track?
Well, I guess it depends how you frame innovation. Innovation technically just means doing something different.
But what we're doing as a group, do you think it'll add value to ourselves? And do you think it'll add value to our community?
Yeah, I think it can, and I think it's a matter of degrees. So I guess the sort of innovations that I've been involved in have a very different framework and a very different process about how people work together and how you solve, you know, larger problems, I guess. So it really just comes down to where the group sees itself. So if you're looking at transformational innovation, I'll frame it this way. So basically you've got people that do innovative things within siloed sectors. So you'll get that in IT and things like that. But that doesn't mean they actually understand innovation or the methodology of innovation that can be applied to everything, whether it's large corporations, small corporations, the medical system. And there are very few people work in that space. And how do you rapidly change cultures and performance within large organizations without them going to, oh, here we go again, you know, another culture change, another process, you know, I heard it all before. And so you get people get resistance to those sort of things. And so there are systems where you can work on the edge and cause what I call gravity processes, where teams get put together, a bit similar to how special forces works in defense. They operate with a great deal of autonomy and they're solving problems, and then they create a gravity because a lot of people want to be involved in that sort of process.
So Wayne, in what we, with the limited time that we have, in respect of meeting twice a month, do you think we'll actually, is it worthwhile continuing, or are we just sort of, do you think we'll get value out of this forum, our members? Yes or no?
Yeah, well, it's not a yes or no question. It really depends on the mission that you're trying to achieve. So
we've got the mission, we've got a very clear mission, is to help ourselves grow, learn, to help ourselves learn, collaborate and grow, and connect ourselves with people that we will do work with on an ongoing basis. That's the objective. And the objective is to find like-minded people to get to know, like, and trust one another. That's it. There's no other purpose.
Sure. And I guess that, how do I answer that? In the sort of innovations I've worked in, it's a very different model. I'll just frame it that way.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that what you're doing won't work for the purpose of what you're trying to do.
I mean, it's not going to be the only, it's not going to be the only thing any of us do.
Yeah.
But what it's doing is it's enabling us to get to know, like, and trust people around us, and enable us to meet other people that we otherwise maybe wouldn't have met.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, no, look, I totally understand. I guess...
I just want to, we've only got a few more minutes. I just want to go through the other players. So John Scott, share with us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, look, I always feel when I'm talking to some people, and this group is the same, I've come up through commercial organizations worldwide. So I've worked for some very big companies in my career, from BHP, typically in senior management roles on the finance side originally, but group general management, executive director levels, through mainly corporate enterprises, public companies, listed companies, private enterprises. And so over the years have built up a fair amount of knowledge around, you know, execution of strategy, succession planning, working with people, mentoring them at a CEO level. One of my clients recently, or he still is actually, was a regional director for a UK PLC. So, you know, I love working in the C-suite with people who have a good brain and who really are smart enough to realize that they actually don't know everything that's out there. So the people that I can't help are the people who know everything. So if you know everything, then there's no point in knowing John. But if you're somebody who is very bright, very smart, and you're looking for somebody to brainstorm with around strategy or execution, then I've got about 50 years of it in my kit bag.
And what do you do, John? How do you make a quid?
How do I make a quid? Through mentoring, through recruiting. I'm currently recruiting some CFOs in the disability sector. I've done 2.
Whereabouts?
Sydney, Blue Mountains area. I've done 2 recently, and I get referred quite a bit for that kind of work. I was sitting on boards, but to be honest, boards have got very complex. And so I actually quite like the idea of not sitting on a board anymore. I think I can see more of what's going on in an organisation by not sitting on a board.
There's a guy called Craig Saffin, who's part of our Next Tech Transformation, said exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Governance has taken over the boardroom to the point where it's now a checkbox exercise for many organisations. And I'm talking about the ESG stuff as well. You know, I don't think some of them actually believe it. I think they actually do it for the sake of saying because Joe comes along and says, well, I'm only going to put investors into your business if you show me the checkbox. So I'm being a little cynical there, but so we're working actually at the moment. I've got a number of interesting ideas with partners, and we're actually planning to do more project delivery in 2021. Our view is that a lot of organizations don't actually have that much internal experience, or they don't have the time to do effective project delivery. So I'm working with a guy who has a business called Headway as an example, and he would be a really interesting speaker because he's working with Sydney Trains as an example on projects worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but his gig is to help them do structured processes through their delivery model. And that's partly where Claudia and I have been talking about as well. So, I don't think CEOs and boards, when they've got a big hairy-chested project that they've got to deliver, I think a lot of them really, if they don't get, there's a 12-step process there. If they don't get the first few steps right, basically you could blow 100% of your investment. And even if you get down to steps 5, 6, and 7, you can still blow 50% of your investment if you're not organized around what it is you're trying to achieve. And that then brings in culture. So innovation, I like what Wayne said. You know, Wayne's dealt with really big end of town stuff. And you know, that's very different to the startup guy. You know, the startup guy basically couldn't even imagine that stuff. He's just, or she's just got something that they believe in. And it's really interesting what the VCs are saying at the moment. They don't want entrepreneurs who have got too much structure. They actually want them just with a really good idea that's out there, and let the VCs actually develop the structure.
Okay.
So
John,
there's many ways we can go, but hopefully that's given everybody a little bit of an idea that I'm an ideas guy and 50 years of experience in corporate, and it's giving back a little bit. Know, like, and trust. Look, if we don't know, like, and trust each other, we don't have much hope. If we get beyond that, though, I actually want to see us really develop some interesting forums where the brain power in this room, on that screen right now, is amazing if we tap into it. But we've got to have a problem that we're solving. And, I think if we come at this by the point of view of we're trying to solve a problem, whether it's for ourselves or whether it's for society or whether it's for a young entrepreneur, I'd rather have the emphasis that this is really about problem solving.
Great idea. I love it.
So
that's a great segue into Arno.
Why not?
Yes. Arno Wezenaar. I am here in Australia since 2.5 years. Before that, you may hear my accent. That's pretty Dutch, and that's my heritage as well. Owner of MacArthur Institute. We are helping individuals who have a lot of experience but do not have the right qualifications. We can help them into bachelor or master or associate degree qualifications by a recognition process. My background is in education as well as in change. Basically, during my career, I've been in consulting roles, project management roles, as well as leading roles. And usually after 1.5 or 2 years, I thought, I need to change now. And I did. I've done one of the first lean management implementations in the Netherlands. We were absolutely very successful there. To be honest, in the beginning, we were not successful. We had a really, really big issue with our energy company. And when we started to implement lean, after 1.5 years, we could report that we were #1 in the market. So it was a pretty big change, process-wise as well as cultural-wise, and it was a huge, huge step. One of the things I learned is usually it's not so. It doesn't have to be about big changes. 1,500 very small changes can make a big change as well, and that's the way we basically did it. And it was pretty well. It was a very fun project.
That's a great insight.
Yep.
Great. And our fearless leader.
Oh, geez, where do I start? I've been an entrepreneur for about 28 years now, and I've done a fair different types of industries. I started in fashion, but more recently, over the last decade, I've been into education. I've been a university lecturer, and my focus has been innovation, transformative innovation, and entrepreneurship. So that's all I really focus on. And I've got a master's in entrepreneurship and innovation, and that's quite interesting because, can entrepreneurship be taught? So, which I wrote a blog about today. But over the last few years, I've also been involved.
Can you put that blog in the link?
Yeah, I can do that. Over the last decade, I've also been focusing on sustainability, more than a decade, 15 years. And my focus has been renewable energy, raising investment for renewable energy projects, in particular wind farms. That was the flavour of the day for a while. Most recently been in solar, and also I've been into resources, things like copper as well. And last few years I've been spending my time in Fiji, which I had to come back to Australia and hook up with Ivan, I guess. And now I'm loving these virtual seminars because Ivan's always been asking me to come to these BBG network things. I came to the first couple and then I was off to Fiji. Now it's all virtual. It makes it easier. So I love it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I think we've all had a go. If I may,
if I can just say something about Claudia. Claudia has, I think, Six Sigma. She has all of the lean background as well. Maybe Claudia, one of the early presenters should be you in terms of process. But it sounds like we've got some other pretty smart people in the room in that sector as well, or at least,
which is great. So if I may, I'm going to use refer on, and I've referred Claudia to a few people. I'm also going to refer Claudia to Arno, because I think there's a massive amount we can collaborate with. You're both in Agile, you're both in Lean, you both understand, and I think it would be great communicating. I've got a little app called Refer On that enables you to easily track, measure, and reward referrals. It takes a second to refer. I've sent both Joe and Claudia a whole heap of referrals to members of this forum, and it tracks, measures, and rewards referrals. What it also does is I can now press a button and identify all the activities that I've actually sent. And it's pretty cool. So, but it's the best app in the world that no one uses. So that's another story. Michael.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something from, listening to Wayne, listening to John and to the others overall. And I think there is from my point of view, when I think innovation is obviously from the background and the work that I do, which is really about understanding or becoming more conscious of what one does and how one does things. And I think in this sense, the opportunity here is indeed to look at kind of problems that can make a difference in society. I like what you say, John, like what is the problem that we solve? Is it something in society? And I think there is a place for us as a collective to sort of explore that which we are unconscious as individuals, but certainly as a collective. And that out of that, in answer to your question, Ivan, the chances for success is if we create something different, if we create a place where people become more aware, and through that awareness, there is better chances of come up with some big, hairy, audacious goals in terms of change within society. And that's the part that I find attractive as a possibility here.
Cool. I think it's great. Michael, again, if I can have my say, and everybody else can share what they think, but by actually focusing on a subject, what it does is it brings out our own thoughts on where we can be and what we can have. And the reality of it is each one of us have our different BHAGs. My BHAG is completely different to yours, is completely different to Michael's, completely different to Claudia's. But what we might do is respect each one of our BHAGs and share the little knowledge that we may have that may get Claudia to say, well, listen, if you do this, Claudia, what I know, maybe this will help you with your BHAG. And you might say, well, this is what I know. Joe, can I help you with A, B, C, and D? And maybe I can't help you, but I know Mark from blah. Let me refer you to him or her. And it's that this is a place of trust and that's where it all happens, is if we can, and trust doesn't happen overnight. Trust takes time. And what we're doing is we're building a forum of which we don't know each other. It takes time to know, like, and trust. It doesn't happen overnight. And you might say, well, I don't like you. And if the group says, I don't like you, you talk too much, it's okay. Just say cheerio. It's about feeling this is your group.
No, indeed, and in some way, I actually think we're saying the same thing from two different sides. I think when people become more conscious of why we drive things the way we drive, why we talk the way we are, that authenticity, that vulnerability that allow us to do that is attractive. This is what makes success in terms of being an attractive place for people to come in. It's not necessarily a conscious thing, but I've seen it over and over again when we become more aware and more centered, the innovation that happens in terms of our ability to work from awareness rather than from automatic pilot, that in itself is where the change comes from.
Cool. So
Can
thank you.
I've got to go shortly. But in terms of an action item for the week, whether it's Toby or yourself, can we have a bit of a democracy? Can we maybe have three problems that you guys would like to kick this forum off?
Yeah.
You know,
John.
and let's vote on it, and then let's start doing it rather
But
than.
I thought it's not I think it's going to be focused on events, John. It's going to be event focused. We've got that. The next issue that we're going to resolve will be who's going to speak on the 19th of January, and we're going to work.
All I'm saying is, what's the event going to be? What's the subject going to be?
Okay, so that's.
Are we going to vote on that, or is it just a case of?
No, it's the vote. What I think the process that needs to be is, okay, the first month is going to be what we had to do now was agree. What Toby's done is we've created that framework. No one said any. I think it's a great framework. If that's the framework we're going to work with, we now need to say, as you say, John, okay, the first month is a great speaker. Let's brainstorm who our great speakers are. Let's brainstorm the business problems that we need to solve. Let's brainstorm who's looking for money, and let's put that to the table next week, and hopefully we can then choose who we want in month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We know that month 3 is going to be startups who are looking for money or corporates who are looking for money. So we need to open up our eyes and say, anyone who's looking for money, if you're interested in speaking at a forum and you have a fantastic presentation, come listen. Come. We've got a forum for you.
Yeah. So can you do that, Toby, for us to give us some? We'll have a little bit of democracy, and then
I think I need to turn autocratic. I've been too democratic, letting people talk, and we've just run out of time. But I think what we should do is, again, like you've said, John and Ivan said, let's focus on some problems. Let's do our own internal brainstorming, and then come up with 3 different things, or perhaps speakers, or perhaps more along the lines of problems that we'd like to address, and then let's do a vote on this, and let's get the first 3 or the first 9 months sorted, really.
Right, sounds good. Claudia and Joe, what is your feelings on, let's start, Joe, what is your feelings on going forward and being part of this forum?
Look, from what I understand, the purpose and the framework that you're using, it sounds really interesting. So at this stage, I'd like to, continue to be involved and
know more.
Yeah, understand more.
Okay, I will send you an invitation to join the forum. I'll speak to Toby and the other guys. Everybody has to agree for people to be in the forum. And this, Claudia, what is your feelings?
I look like Joe. I'd love to explore this more. I had probably a slightly different perception about it, and you see it in my feed. I thought this forum was about solving wicked problems, which is something I know I can't do on my own, and even though a lot of these sort of go through my head, but I'm definitely the philosophy around learn and collaboration and growing, that's definitely suits me great, and the innovation aspect of it, and kind of bringing successful entrepreneurs and learning from them, that sounds fantastic.
Beautiful. So we'll send you information, or Toby will send you information.
Yeah, well, Claudia, that's the ultimate hope there. There is a long-term purpose for this. You know what I mean? That solving the wicked problem is going to be our I guess, guiding star for what we want to achieve. Something that we know it's there, but we'll probably never get there. But at least we're able to work and try and collaboratively to solve some of these problems, because as you know, wicked problems are very complex.
They are, and they need lots of different brains to be able to get through them. And that's why I'm kind of was excited when John put me in touch with you when I read that email.
Yeah, so no, stay excited, because that's the ultimate aim.
Yeah, because I just felt that was
to our madness.
Yeah, no, I just, you know, when I read that email, I'm going like, oh yes, please. You know, it's kind of like that reaction. So.
That's
We're
why.
renovating the innovation man, Mr. K. That's what we're doing.
That why is our why is we solve wicked problems.
So if you're the wicked problem, we're going to solve it for you, mate.
But I'm unsolvable, so you just have to kick me out.
Yeah. So in the day, that there is that why, which Claudia, we want to try and solve. There has to be a purpose for what we do. We can't just sit around and just talk.
Yeah. So I think the method of learning, growing, and collaborating, I think that's how you get people to get engaged in it.
Mm-hmm.
But the purpose is what keeps people in the group.
Absolutely.
Because once you've kind of feel like you've learned everything, people would leave. So there's something else that needs to be able to create the glue that people actually want to stay on.
And that's the thing too. It's like a guiding star. You know, it's always
definitely
there,
is.
but you can never reach it, basically.
As I said earlier, Toby, if anybody in the forum knows everything, then I'm absolutely no value to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
I hope.
I know nothing anyway, so big on me.
Like, come on, you can tell us all about. You're a master of entrepreneurship. You can tell us all about that.
Well, what I did learn is it's still a question mark. Can entrepreneurship be taught, or is it born with it? I still don't know.
Look, that's the same. They ask that with leadership too, don't they?
Yeah. Are you born leader or yeah? Anyway,
Yeah.
so I think any other questions? We should wrap it up. We've had a little fight.
I think just one thing, Michael. Did we talk about Nikki Aylon? What's in it? Like, she wanted to be part of it. Aylon from Israel.
She wants to attend and see where she is with that, and she was going to join us this afternoon, but something came up. So
no worries.
She'll certainly.
Okay, so should we continue meeting weekly? Toby, I'll leave it to you.
Absolutely. And what I'll do is I will send up the notes, and I will send an agenda for next week. I guess the action point here now is we need to walk away with an action point, and this one for this week is try and get 3 ideas or 3 potential people that could speak. So it's either chicken and egg stuff. But I think we should begin with a problem. Yeah. I know. Sorry, John.
Yeah, Toby, could I just jump in methodologies and innovation? Usually, the fastest way, and sort of John had touched on this, is what they call the discovery phase. Mm-hmm. And what you do is that you work as a group and you rapidly look at what problems that could be solved, and then the group puts a whole lot forward and look at that. Then the next really important phase to that is causality, which is something that a lot of people don't look at. So what's actually causing these problems, and can it be removed, or how can we leapfrog beyond that? And that's usually the starting point. And then that'll set the whole agenda of who you get in as a speaker and where you're going and what's going to happen, if that helps.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I agree, Wayne, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's over to you, Toby.
Yeah, all right. No worries, yeah.
And Ivan, appreciate you pulling the forum together.
I'm happy. I leave it to you, Toby. People say the less I get involved, the better it is for the group.
Yeah, that's good.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Let's wrap it up.
Ciao, guys.